All right, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Thank you guys for joining us. Those of you who are live, thank you for joining live, and everybody who's watching after the fact, we really appreciate it. I am excited to have this conversation with Ben, Damon, and Brittany. I'm gonna give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves, but we're gonna be talking about this book right here, 12 and a half, by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk. So I'm gonna go in order my screen or on the screen here. So I'm gonna go left of me right now. Ben, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm really happy to be here. My name is Ben. I go by I've Been Kind on most social medias, and essentially, I'm a tiny business starter. I don't know how to say it any different. In 2011, I started a local coffee shop that my family still owns. In 2014, I started a tattoo shop with no machines. In 2019, I started a software development company. And prior to that, a couple of my brothers, we all pitched in and bought a furniture consignment shop that our family still owns. So, yeah, tiny businesses all around. And as far as my first Gary V experience, I want to say it was like Instagram 15 years ago. That's like my first recollection.
Wow, taking it back. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first post you saw of his?
It was probably wasn't too long prior to, well, no, it was. I really don't. The first piece of content that really hit me like a brick, though, was the lady on the street in New York. You're gonna die, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was just such a, for me, it was a response that I've talked about a lot, and it was a, like, there's really nothing that bad. A lot of people, again, I'm not going to try to make this about myself, but like I have a black spot in the middle of my palm, and I read a lot of historical books growing up, and Treasure Island was my, one of my favorites. And pirates get a black spot when they're going to die. So I'm in my early 20s. I have a beautiful wife. I have two beautiful kids. I have a great job. I'm making a lot of money, and I'm depressed. And I couldn't figure out why. And this was before therapy became a thing. And I remember carrying around this rock in my palm and walking around with it for months and months. And then I realized, in conversation, that essentially I was looking at a black spot like pirates get from the story. I love stories. I'm very passionate about stories. And so I went and got this tattoo, and I actually had to talk my tattoo artist into it because I didn't have any other tattoos at the time, and he didn't want to ruin my life by giving me a tattoo on my hand. So I had to go back 6 months in a row before he would do it. And I still remember the morning after I woke up and I felt better. And it was just like Gary's advice of, you're going to die. It's like, look, I was marked and I woke up anyway. Yeah. So there's really nothing I can do now but work hard. Like I was supposed to die. I didn't die. And that was just my way of working through the depression. And so when Gary said that, it was just like, oh, wow, that's my story. So yeah, that was probably the first piece that really stood out to me.
That's awesome. I love that story, dude. I love stories too, so that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right, Damon, what was your first experience with Gary? Who are you? Kind of what you do, and what was your first experience with Gary?
I'm Damon Johnson with DJ Realty or DJ Realty Solutions, however you want to cut it off. I was a former school teacher, got into mortgages, got my real estate license while I was doing mortgages. Probably, oh goodness, my first Gary experience. Oh, you know what? When I got into real estate, the people from the mortgage company were using me for real estate. I got really busy really fast. One of my coworkers was like, my brother wants to be your assistant. And I was like, what? So got him. He was like 19 at the time, and we were butting heads. I was like, this boy is too young. He's getting on my nerves. And he was like, Damon, you got the goods. You just kind of mean. I was like, what? So he showed me a Gary video, and guess which one it was? The "You're Gonna Die." And I looked, and I was like, "Who the who the fuck is this?" And so I was like, "All right, let me watch another one." So the one that really did it for me, I worked at a big. I've always worked at big companies, and the school was really large. I worked at, so a lot of layers, a lot of bosses, a lot of whatever. And so he was outside. This is when he did more stuff outside. This is back when back this way before D-Rock. He was outside, and this guy was like, you could tell he owned a big business. He was like, "Why do my employees, want to work hard?" And he was like, "Why the fuck are they working harder than you?" And I was like, "Oh my God." I stood up at my desk with my headphones on, and I was like, "I quit." And everybody was like, "Damn, you can't quit off one video." I was like, you know when you find your person. I knew that was my tribe. They said when you find your tribe, you'll know. I knew. I was like, when I say I went feet first, head first, I devoured. I started from number 1, where he was only like at number 80 at that point. I went frontwards, backwards, whatever. It was just it. It's just undescribable. I've never wanted to walk off of a job so bad, and it wasn't anything that they were doing. I knew what to say. It's not you, it's me. I really knew. So I've been worshiping at the Church of Gary ever since. Got lucky right after that and met him for the first time. The tears, my God, the tears. So it just has been. They say never meet your heroes, and I was really nervous, but I think I cried the whole way home because I knew. I was like, "Oh my God, he's not an asshole." I was just so excited, and it just has been. People always ask me, why him, and you're so successful, and I was like, he and that Gary and that team have done so much of showing me what to do. It's like a hands-on business school that you don't have to pay for. It's been people like, "Well, Damon, why do you buy everything?" And he could come out with whatever. I want 20 of them. Like, here, just whatever. Because I'm on this show because of him. So it's not like I could never pay them back what they've done for me. So I just try to be nice to everybody now, because I think I really was kind of mean. But yeah, so I'm here, and thank you for having me. Is the group that you have here are just exceptional, and yeah, I'm just here. I'm just happy to be here, and let's go. But yeah, that was the content that did it for me. Really, those two. But when he said, "Why are they working harder than you?" I was like, my God, he's talking about my manager. I quit. So yeah, that's it. I'm here, and we're gonna dissect this book, and let's go.
Love it. Thanks, Damon. Appreciate it. And Blaze, real quick. Blaze says hi. Blaze Hirsch, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
Hey, Blaze.
Oh, look at that backdrop. I love it.
Yeah. All right, Brittany.
All right. Hello. Thank you very much for having me join in. Very excited about this. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. Live out in Nevada on the West Coast. I would say I'm mostly in business formation and maintenance of in my day work, and then I have projects that I'm working on in the background. Pretty much on every platform. My accounts are gonna be Moss 287. Spell the last name right though. But I would say, as far as getting introduced to Gary was an interesting experience for me, since I'm from New York State, and I never really heard his name or knew he existed until 2018. And it was January of 2018, and that was actually about a month before I took the steps to leave being a Jehovah's Witness and my past and stuff like that. So to be honest, being introduced to Gary in general, just the words that he has to say for me, what interested me most was how on par they are and were with things that I'd been taught you could only really find through religion.
Mhm.
Um, and something about that resonated with me staying committed to like staying out.
Mhm.
Um, I would say, a lot of people leaving us organizations like that struggle with the conflict of um, the situation with family and stuff and end up
Mhm.
either, having to fight their way to stay out or end up going back one way or the other.
Mhm.
And, I did a community project this year where the care package was for somebody that's leaving in the same situation.
Mhm.
And what impacted me the most was also seeing the community and recognizing that there's other communities out there. And so kind of adding to that list of things and making it easier to remain out. I would say Gary Vee has been a big part of it, as well as VeeFriends, Vayner Nation in general, and just recognizing that I can find brothers and sisters. It sucks, that I have all of these family and friends that I don't really talk too much or engage with at all. Um,
Right.
but realistically, there are other people out there and we can
Mhm.
have these conversations and grow, and you don't know what 10, 20 years will bring. So I'm optimistic that as time goes on, we will all figure out a way forward and it'll be
Mhm.
all right. And I think, again, that's that positivity about Gary and even 12 and a half that stuck out to me. And I would say out of the books that I've read of Gary so far, it's by far my favorite. And I don't know if even the new ones coming out will surpass it for my taste, just because to me, the emotional aspect of business is really integral to actually stay in it long
Mhm.
term. So yeah, that's my experience with Gary and a little bit about me.
Good.
Awesome. I agree with what Damon said. We got a great group of people here. I'm excited to talk to all of you guys about it. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Drew Bujarlo, obviously, business executive coach, and I also own a social media company, digital marketing, and I teach coaching as well. My first experience with Gary was actually, it's funny because Brandon and Damon have the same video that they watched Gary the first time. Brittany was 2018. For me, it was also 2018. That was when I first, because I'd never heard of Gary Vaynerchuk. I had no idea the name existed. I never no idea he existed. My mentor, actually from Georgetown, a coaching school, was a big follower of Gary. Was like, hey, this guy is somebody you got to talk. You got to just watch his videos and check him out. And I think it's going to be really helpful for you as you're trying to start your own business and do your own thing. Because I had my own business before, and I was talking about like starting a new business for my executive coaching. Because before I was doing, networking coaching, life coaching type thing, dating coaching. It wasn't really what I wanted to make a whole new brand.
Mhm.
And so he was like, as you're building a new business, watch this guy. He's different, right? He's not going to be like everybody else out there. And I was like, all right, well, that's what everybody says, right? And the first video I remember seeing of his, I can't remember what it's called, but it was where he was basically like, he's like, I don't give a fuck. I'll give you every single thing that I do, and I'm not worried that anyone's going to steal my clients, because guess what? 99% of you are not going to do it.
Mhm.
I don't remember what video it was, but that was like, whoa,
Mhm.
wait, that's fucking true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I'm sitting here in my head like, oh, I can't give away my trade secrets. I can't give away this and that and whatever. Because
Mhm.
I'm like, I can't give away everything in the first session with a client or a prospective client, because then they're just going to go with somebody else or go and do it themselves.
Mhm.
And then when he said that, I was like, no, he's fucking right. Like 95% of people are not going to do it. And the 5% who do it are not your
Mhm.
clients anyway.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, this
Or
is the
they
guy.
might start and then come back to you and then you charge them more, because that's what
Exactly.
we did in the auto world of, try to fix it yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I-
100%. And it's happened so many times, right? So that was my first experience with Gary, and ever since then he hasn't really disappointed, honestly. He was the reason I got into NFTs and crypto, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I had no desire to be in that stuff. I mean, I had an interest. I was like kind of laterally hearing about it from friends and whatever, but I never really got into it until he started doing videos talking about the value of NFTs and how to get into crypto and MetaMask. I'd never heard of MetaMask before him. So yeah, definitely changed my life, and obviously got us to VCon together, and so we all met, which is phenomenal. So thank you either way if you're watching now, Gary, for getting us together at the very least, and for this. So nice segue into the book concept. I'll ask this question for you guys and I'll give my answer, but what was the most impactful part of the book or parts of the book for you guys? And we can just do popcorn, just so you know who wants to go first.
The homework for me, I think the assignments, because I'm an ex-school teacher, so once a teacher, always a teacher. I think the questions made me question myself. And you know how you tell yourself that you have this dreamy version of you, and you're like, wait a minute. So I got to examine how I interact with everybody else, and you're like, wait, like what? So for me, throughout the whole book, just doing the work, it was like free therapy, because you really have to cut the TV off, cut the phone off. Don't believe your own hype. I don't believe my own press. I try not to, because but for me, I think the best part of the book was the work. And it wasn't work. It was like, oh, I got to be honest with myself. Some days I don't want to be DJ Realty. Some days I'm like, oh, good. Because for me, I have to be on when I'm home. And when I'm at an event, I have to be on. And and this may sound, it's just us, we're all family. I don't know if I asked for the notoriety part of it. I'm like, oh no, you think I'm a thing too. Oh, I wanted my client to be a thing. So it made me do homework on my own character, my own brand of how dare you, you know what I mean? It made me question, like, how dare you not really want this? You signed up for this. So here we are. And it also, the homework made me take some time for myself, so that way I can recharge my battery when I don't want to be DJ Realty. Some days I want to just be Damon and watch TV and eat popcorn and don't go out and go. Cause I had a networking event before I left my office, going to a networking event on the first one. I was like, oh God, because I get invited to a lot of stuff. So I'm learning through the book, still learning, to have a balance. And I don't mean a work-life balance. I mean just a balance of, okay, shit, I done had enough today. Yeah. Whatever that enough means for me.
That it's okay that we've had enough, and to walk away as needed, because that's just part of life and genuineness, and us being who we are and what we need.
I'm going to follow that up though, Brittany. That's you hit the nail on the head. Damon, I haven't done the homework. I haven't done the homework in the book. Like, I'm just going to be real with you. The book itself kind of hit me too hard. And also I still have a little bit of an insecurity about school. So I was homeschooled, I was home churched, and I grew up, like, we read everything. When I say, like, there's a local library here that reaches 35,000 people, and I read every book in it, like, I mean it. Wow. When I graduated high school, I could read and write in Greek and Aramaic. The languages underneath the King James version of the Gospels, which Brittany knows something about.
I'm like, I know that Greek Septuagint.
But I went to college and I could not take a test to save my life. Like, I flunked. I mean, I'm talking about like 0 for 5. Like, out of 5 classes I took, I got a 0 on 4 of them. And it wasn't that I couldn't write. It wasn't that I didn't know the material. It's just that I froze up when the test came. So when I got to that part of the book, I freaked out. But thankfully, the book had already kind of like gotten in my brain and started
Mhm.
messing with me.
Mhm.
Because like for me, the fact, I mean, it's pretty obvious from just visually, like I'm from fingernails to toenails to beard, I'm tattooed. And I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And it's created this person who works really hard, creates businesses, and provides for a lot of people in the community. And then I open up this book, and the first chapter is gratitude. And I'm like, nah, son, fuck you. Like that, we ain't going that way.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I love the kindness, and I love the empathy, and I love understanding the other person. But gratitude? No, nobody's ever given me anything, man. I've had to work for everything. I've been from day one, from 15 years old, you know, since before I could drive, 4 a.m. to midnight working. That's all I know. And
Yeah.
so Gary starts his book out with gratitude, and I'm like, all right, fine. I guess we're going to do this. You know, maybe my therapist is right. Maybe there are things I can be grateful for.
Yes.
Every
You
day.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that I feel you, Ben. I mean, that for me, like, I'm kind of in between you guys, right, in terms of
Mhm.
what hit me, because yes, 100%. The book itself, before the exercises,
Mhm.
absolutely phenomenal. And actually, the first time I listened to it was actually on the plane leaving VCon,
Okay.
right? So I listened because I do Audible. I never get time to sit down and if I like the book, I'll buy the book, which is why I have the copy now, because I'm going to
Mhm.
go through it again. I've listened to it twice on Audible. I'm going to go through and highlight and like take out stuff that I want to do and actually do the exercises, because
Mhm.
I'm sitting there on the plane and I'm like, and actually I couldn't get Jesse Itzler's napkin thing out of my head.
Yeah.
That's what got stuck with my head when I was listening to the exercises. I was like, oh, I really want to write down this napkin thing, because I couldn't get that. I was distracted. I'll be have ADD, but you know,
Mhm.
um, but no, it
Oh,
was
don't we
really
all?
impactful. Yeah, exactly, right. That's why we're here.
Ah!
But it was impactful though. I mean, like,
Mhm.
especially that part, like you said, the part about gratitude. Like, and I said this in my video, my VCon, like after the VCon video, was like, he talks about gratitude and empathy. And every time I hear the word gratitude, even when I say the word gratitude, I have like an internal eye roll,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It's like, fuck gratitude sometimes, right?
Mhm.
I'm just, but at the same time, it's like, no, there needs to be a place for gratitude. At least I'm starting to realize that for myself, where it's like, it's separating myself from that kind of that limitation, that belief of
Mhm.
like, I have to do everything on my own. Because yeah, we can do everything on our own. And you know, I've done, I'd say 90% of stuff on my own. I do have to
Mhm.
thank my parents for, that 10%
No,
that changed everything, right?
sure.
But other than that, I mean, I worked my ass off to get to where I am right now, and I'm not even where I want to be yet, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And at the same time, if I don't express that gratitude, I'm limiting myself in some ways, right?
Mhm.
And so that was what really hit me with the book, was
You could have been,
gratitude.
what Gary said, you could have been a tree.
Yeah, no, it's true, 100%, man. I think,
It's strange. It's strange though, because like I didn't consider myself an ungrateful person, and I think a lot. I still talk to my parents every week. My dad last week dropped by and brought me Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act: A Way of Being. I have it right here on my desk. My mom will drop by with food for everyone in the tattoo shop, even though that's not her lifestyle and not her thing. Um, but I think when you read through the book, one of the things that dawned on me was, this is so much like working out. Another thing that I'm not great at. Like you know, but like everyone starts out with like they can do 8 push-ups. And that's it.
Yep.
They can't do anymore. And you think like someone will say to you, I want to get you to where you can do 100 push-ups. And you're like, that's impossible. So part of reading this book, it hit me like, so gratefulness, gratitude, kindness, empathy, candor, these things, they're not these magical religious things that came from God that I'm never going to do correctly.
right.
And again, I'm not attacking. They can come from God, they can come from the Mother Earth, they can come from wherever you think. But like Brittany said, Gary's kind of saying like, hey guys, whatever your beliefs are, whatever your background is, these are just qualities that human beings have. And if you want to work out more, like if you want to run every day, you can become a stronger runner. If you want to show, if you will wake up and write down 3 things you're grateful for, your gratitude's going to get stronger. Yeah. And so I had never really put those two together. And so now I'm able to go, okay, well, I have 11 days waking up and writing 3 things I'm grateful for down on a piece of paper before I get in my car to drive to work.
Yep.
And you know what's weird is now I'm at like 100 days. I haven't had one road rage issue since I started doing that. Why? Because why can't I just take my foot off the gas for a second? Like, why do I have to race that Corvette? Why do I care that he cut? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just, and so it's like, I tell my crew at the tattoo shop every day, like, it's like emotional working out. Like it really is like looking at it like, if you can show whichever of the 12 or Gary's half is your struggle, if you can just put together a consecutive, I did this emotional workout every day, every night, every morning. And now you've got a string of it. All of a sudden you go, wow, I haven't had an issue with that thing.
Not so bad.
It was an indirect success. I'll stop talking, but anyway.
No, it's 100% right though. I mean, it's a mental and emotional exercise, right? Because whatever you're trained to notice is what you're going to notice more of, right? And so if you're trained to notice all the negative things out there, yeah, good.
I think you have to be ready, because sometimes we aren't ready for. I shouldn't say not so much the truth. Sometimes we aren't ready to even deal with some stuff, or we think we've gotten over. Like my parents are both deceased, so and I don't use it as a crutch, but I know some days I don't feel like being fucking bothered, and I'm like, so I know I have to do my exercises that day, or my mantra that day, or have my AirPods in. So sometimes I think recognizing that this isn't the day for that, or it is the day for that. Like, I can have gratitude to have parents who worshiped the ground I walked on. Like, whatever I wanted, I got. I was super spoiled. There was nothing that I grew up without. No trip, no toy, no video game, no dirt bike, no class, no nothing that I didn't have. So people are always like, well, why are you always so happy and pleasant? Because I had for me, I had the best childhood out of everybody that I grew up with. As far as being loved on, oh my God, I was like, sheesh, this is amazing. But then to see the other coin, when I was teaching kids, I would be like, oh no, you didn't have the parent, not even materialistically. I would be like, oh no, your mama is not hugging on you every day. I was like, ooh boy. So I'm always grateful to be like, I wouldn't be where I am, you know, financially. They paid for my college, my first apartment, first new car, all that stuff. I would not be here if it wasn't for them. So I'm always grateful. But if you aren't in a place to do the work, you got to close that book some days. Because some days I'm not, if I'm into it with a client or a deal is going sideways, it's very easy to do the work out of any chapter when you've had a great day.
Right.
It's a different story when you wake up to $1,000 in invoices in your account. You're like, oh Jesus. It's different when it's terrible. Like Drew and I were going to Chicago for the card show. I had been before, and Gary and D-Rock didn't show up, and I was like, oh wait, whatever. Me and Trip was still there. This time I was like, I had a couple huge deals fall apart. I was like, if I go, I want to use my own money. And I'm like, I don't know about all that.
Mhm.
So I made the decision not to go. And funny thing, Drew was like, me too, Dave. I want to use my own money. So I'm not going.
Yeah.
Still, I'm not, but it hit me different.
Yeah.
It hit me different. The old me would have been pissed and like, I'm just going to charge it, or I'm going to just take some money out of this account and put it in this account. The new me, I'm still learning him. This new me, I was like, it's okay, because I'm the type that when I go and do something, I want to have a nice experience. I don't want to go and be like, shit, I spent my last $1,000 on this trip. And when I get home, I got to get this money right back. So I knew I didn't want to go like that, because it just throws my timing off.
Yeah.
I'm a Libra.
Yeah.
I believe in astrology. That's my thing. It throws my balance off. And so I was like, I want to go in a good headspace.
Yeah.
So this new me was like, okay, great. Just show your old card video while it's going on. Be active on social. But I'm in a good place for that. And if the old me were to show up, I would just be like, I'm not doing social this whole weekend. I'm going to just go into the real world and do whatever. So like you said, Ben, sometimes you have to be ready to do the work. And I love that you recognize that you aren't good at tests. I wish more of my kids would be like, I don't want to do this. I will tell them, do you want me to read it to you? Do you want to listen? And I don't want to talk too much. That's what's wrong with our society. People think you can only learn and get it
one way.
There's a million ways to teach things and to show people stuff. But as a society, we are just book, paper, you better school is just memorization. That's all it is. You memorize everything, you get at least a B+.
It's because they're lazy.
It's a lot of memorization. I don't know what school is now. But recognizing that, like, my math stinks. Oh God, I can't do math. Recognizing that in you is 80% of the battle. So don't be upset you didn't do the work.
I appreciate that. It took me a long time to work through it. But Brittany, what was your takeaway from these two dude bros talking for the last 20 minutes?
I mean, I'm grateful to listen. It's funny for me. I started the book out with accountability. For me, I was at a point where I knew I needed to practice more accountability. I didn't start the book out like I got it, somebody gifted it to me, and then I didn't start. I think I started it and then I just stopped. But I think for the very similar reasons to you guys too, is that this is a meaty book. And if you're not ready for it, you may not necessarily fully understand. And I think that's something special about this book, is that it's timeless, since it's based on core qualities that, like you guys were saying, these are just human qualities. I was taught, that there's core principle qualities that essentially, when you break it down, that's why you can find that commonality. And so all of what he discusses, gratitude, I mean, yeah, I've had to fight to get to where I am. For me, though, I know for a fact that there's a reason why I survived everything that I did. Some of the situations that I saw, lived through, worked through, whatever, without getting into gory details. My life was on the line multiple times, in order to actually recover from my past. And so, to me, gratitude is something that I've reached this point where I live my fucking life because I survived. And it actually, I find that I actually have less empathy for people who um, are like giving up and spouting giving up. And I'm learning to practice more empathy with it again, where like I just like to me, like shit gets real and we only have two choices. Like we have two choices in life. Survive or die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've seen it and watched it and and everything. So my takeaway from, listening to you guys about gratitude is just that, yeah, like we have to get to that core spot where we appreciate being alive. And that chapter, it's a meaty start to the book, but there's a point to it being the first. Because if we're grateful for just one little thing, couple little things each day, even in the mental health world, they found statistically, like time after time, people that practice just doing something simple like that actually are happier and feel better and recover from things like PTSD, other mental illnesses, other depression and stuff quicker, stronger, better. You have a technique to rely on.
Yep.
So it's a very powerful quality.
That's great.
Absolutely. I mean, building on that, I mean, that's something that I was saying before. Like, it's a practice. You notice more of what you train yourself to notice, right? Like to what Ben was saying earlier, the brain, the heart, they're both muscles. The more you use them, the more powerful they get, right? If you train yourself to only notice a negative and only talk negatively about everything all the time, right? The glass half full, glass half empty situation, right? You're only going to notice the negative, and then you're going to be depressed and wonder why the hell you're depressed, right? But if you sit there and notice, like, hey, yeah, it was a rough day. I had a long day, but on top of that, this happened that was good. This happened that was good. This didn't happen that could have happened. That not happening was a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you end your day on that note. Well, guess what? You're gonna get a better night's sleep. The next day, you're kind of hitting reset, and you're gonna jump into the next day feeling a lot more refreshed than you did the day before, right? So yeah, I love that, the gratitude piece. And I think one thing that's coming up as I'm hearing each one of you guys talk about this stuff is, and this came up for me as I was reading the book, is that I'm actually good at most of these things for external people, for everyone else.
Yeah.
But when I don't turn it inside. I don't focus it back on myself.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people don't know why my handle here is I've been kind. Again, to your point, Drew, I've been really mean to myself for a really long time. I have a really, really terrible internal dialogue. And it's weird because I think what started the journey for me actually happened during COVID, when we could actually get back out again. And I met my dad and sat across from a picnic table. And again, the town I live in, 50, 60,000 people, was shut down. And it's just me and him at this park. And I was telling him this story about an interaction I had with a police officer. And because I was painting a mural, I was trying not to go crazy during lockdown. So I started painting murals around town on buildings that didn't belong to me. But they're like really classic, like really nice murals, right? But I didn't ask permission first. I just started like painting these. I'll send you guys a picture. Like I just started painting these really amazing big like sunset murals, and the cops would roll up and be like, "Hey, is that your building?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, it's locked down. You're not supposed to be out." And I'm like, "Well, I'm out. Like I've got a mask here. Like I'm just painting this guy's building." And they're like, "Did you ask him?" And I'm like, "No, but it looks really dope, right? Like, why would he mind, And so I'm telling my dad this story, and I go, "I don't understand. Like, I'm a really nice guy." And my dad starts laughing. And when he finishes laughing, he goes, "Ben, no one would ever say you're a nice guy, but you are really kind." And I went, like, at first I was kind of mad. Like I sat back, I was kind of like, why is my old man calling me out? Like that's not. And then but it hit me. So I went away from that conversation and I started thinking about it. And I was like, I'm generally pretty gentle with other people.
You are.
But when I get to the end of the night and it's quiet and I'm by myself, it's like this constant list of failures. Things I
Mm.
could have done better. Things I could have succeeded at. Like I left $200 on the table in that, like it's just this. And so I actually got back on Twitter and I just kind of made the promise to myself that Twitter was going to be my public journal. And I changed my handle to I've been kind because I'm going to work on kindness. And I just posted for the first like 2-3 years. I just posted like kindness always wins every morning.
Nice.
And then I posted kindness is the foundation every night. And then I posted kindness brings perspective. Literally, people are sitting here like, hey man, stop preaching at us. Why are you posting this? I'm like, this actually isn't for you. Right. It's for me. It's so when I get on my phone, I look at it and I go, oh yeah, that's a good note, Ben. Way to go. Kindness does always win. Like I just started doing it. And here I am talking to you guys, my second VCon. And so it's but yeah, Drew, you're exactly right. We're trained, I think, we're taught. How about that? That's a better phrase. We're taught to be really nice to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not really taught to be decent to ourselves.
Oh no.
Nope.
And I think too, for me, I would say I don't remember what age I started having self-esteem and inner self-talk issues. I can say it was very young. And it's been a long struggle to learn how to overcome that because, I mean, when I say as long as I can remember, I'm talking like childhood. I remember in childhood thinking I was ugly. And no one ever told me that. My mom and dad tried to instill self-love in me and self-esteem and caring for myself. Unfortunately, though, people can't reach into our brains and say how you love yourself, be nice to yourself. What I would say a turning point for me was learning about CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yep.
And recognizing that our brains are computers, like Deepak Chopra was talking about at VCon. I know a lot of people's. I think he was looking at the audience like, not all of you are understanding this, and it's okay. That doesn't matter because you're all connected anyway. So it's pretty
There
much
you
what it was
go.
like. Awesome. But he was describing that our brains are computers, where we have supercomputers. And so if we think about putting prompts into AI, for example, when we think the words, I hate myself or I'm an idiot, that is a prompt, and that's also why his meditation broke all the way down to I am, because that is such a powerful statement. And even when we're speaking it, when just our words have power, whether they're coming out of our mouths or in our brains. And once we realize that we can actually engage with our brains and take control through things like CBT, it can be pretty powerful. And I would say I haven't had like I still deal with calling myself stupid or idiot and, jokes here and there and stuff, whatever. But for the most part, that constant cyclical or like going to bed at night and just thinking of all the failures, that hasn't happened to me in probably a good 2 to 4 years overall. I do have to keep an eye on it because for me, it's something that I don't know. It stems from childhood. But it's that exercise, just like the book and that musing over it and not necessarily I don't necessarily think we should rush through reading it. If people want to read it in a day, read it in a day.
Yeah.
Um you know, I'm the type where I haven't even technically finished reading it. I listened to the audio recording to finish it up. You know, but like it's okay if it takes a while to go through it because there's so many different facets of the qualities.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%. David, you gonna say something?
Oh no, just quickly when he was going through it about, and it's so funny. I forget that it's really a business book. It turned into therapy, and I was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute. I'm supposed to be doing this. It's hard to do that. I guess that's the point. It's hard to do that. I can say for my business for sure.
Mhm.
When I do apply them, I make more money and it gets to be easier. But some days you look at people, you know, because we all deal with clients, customers, you're like, I know you're not talking to me like that.
Mhm.
I have to catch myself like, what? Yeah,
Mhm.
but when I apply all the work or most of the work, I'm like, I try to look at from the other person's point of view. And I also, like with the client who called before about the podcast, I know you need a boundary.
Mhm.
Yep. It's not you, it's me.
Mhm.
I let you go too long without a boundary. Now I'm going to, so you, it, the book is true. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
you don't, we aren't, I got to teach you my language. Because
Mhm.
right now you doing your own, we're having foreign conversation because you're saying something. I'm shaking my head. And I'm really not agreeing with you, but I'm doing the international before I understand you. Like, yeah.
I
And I'm
think
like, oh no, he doesn't know that
yeah.
I don't want to really do this because I've been doing it the past two podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Now I got to put a wall
Yep.
up in business
Yeah.
because I don't have to have all the clients. I want to leave with some sanity so I can be positive for the other clients who we are on the same wavelength.
And
Right.
So,
I think you're bringing up a really good point, Damon. If you don't mind me interrupting,
no, come on.
that's what has been so hard about the tattoo shop because we turn away more people than we tattoo, and people are going like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." And it's like, no, I have really good friends now who don't have tattoos because I talked them out of a bad decision when they were out on a girls' night and they were peer pressuring each other to go get a tattoo. And then they came to us, and I've read this book. And this book says the money doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, like literally, this lady's about to, she's a bank teller, or she's maybe a real estate agent, or maybe even worse, she's like a teacher, but in a very precarious political position in the
Mhm.
part of town she's in. She's gonna try to get some tribal tattoo on her arm. And guess what? She ain't got a job Friday.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, you bring it back around to, yeah, we started it out with therapy kind of, but the book being therapy, but now the book is back in how you treat people, knowing that there's worse things than losing a client.
Yeah.
It'd be better to have a good client. Drew, I was curious because you kind of started this off by surprising me. I guess I didn't do my research, but like, the coaching thing kind of triggers me a little bit because like the guys I know in East Texas that do that, they
Mhm.
only want my $80 a week.
Yep.
That's all they want, bro. You
Yeah.
know, like, and it's like
And I hate it.
after 6 months, you're like, man, I'm broke and my business isn't doing any better.
Yeah. No, and I hate those guys, frankly, right? Like Damon and I talked about this because the problem, I mean, not to get on that huge tangent, but with coaching specifically, there are a lot of things like this, a lot of professions like this, right? Where there's certifications, but there's no real formal licensure process to become a coach, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with social media managers, right?
Mhm.
Anybody can wake up one day and say, you know what? I don't like my job. I'm going to quit. Guess what? I'm a social media manager now. I'm a coach now. Ha, ha, ha. Now I have Instagram.
You know what's weird though? The reason I can call you out is because we met.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm calling myself out. Drew, I taught myself how to tattoo.
That's awesome, dude.
I bought a license from the state of Texas for $2,500. Like I'm saying, you and me and Brittany and Damon, we're all the same.
Yeah,
we're all the same people in different parts. Like, and you can make up anything.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to do this with integrity.
Right.
So I didn't mean you triggered me from a bad place. I meant like, I have people that come in the tattoo shop tonight and they're going to come in 15 minutes before close, and 8 ladies who are drunk off their very cute behinds are going to want infinity symbols or crosses. And we could make another $600 in 20 minutes.
Yep.
Except that we're gonna coax them to come sit outside with us, tell them we've locked up for the night. We're gonna bring out 12 bottles of water, and we're just gonna sit there and get to know them. And people go, why didn't you get that money? Because it's not the right thing to do.
Right way.
I had this conversation today with somebody, a prospective client. She reached out and she's like, "Hey, I want to do this effort for. I heard this is what I need to do. I need to do this assessment, and everyone said I need to do this assessment. So I want to do this for my organization." I'm like, "Okay, I do that assessment, but let's back up for a second. Why do you want to do this assessment?" And she's like, "Well, everyone said I need to do this because this is what I want to do." I said, "Okay, well, everyone's wrong. You have to do this assessment." I'm like, "There's a cheaper way to do this, and there's actually a better way to do this, and you don't actually have to do it to do any of this stuff to get this what you want to get." And I gave her a really simple solution that didn't cost her, and that's not going to cost her anything. And she was like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, you don't want to, you're not trying to sell me anything." Like, she literally was like, "Just you're not trying to sell me anything." I'm like,
I used to be sold to.
No, because again, and going back to the book real quick, like it is like it's doing what's best for the client. Because at the end of the day, the client is a person, right? And you show that empathy for that person, for who they are and what their struggles are. Because I could get that money, but how am I going to feel about it in the morning, right?
Yeah, that's in sales. I was actually talking with someone the other day about a situation, and unfortunately, there is desperation in sales where people will lie, cheat, commit fraud, even just to get a deal. When what is so bad about qualifying and disqualifying? What is so wrong with saying, "Hey, yeah, we could have collected $600, but that's a transactional sale, and we're not thinking about the impact that's having," because it's not like they're just going in a shop to buy $600 worth of cosmetics or some shit. They're putting something on their skin that's going to be there, and like you said, who knows what their situation is, and they wake up in the morning, and sure, they may not necessarily blame the shop, but are they going to go back?
Right.
Whereas, what if those ladies did want the tattoos, and one of them's probably going to remember where they went,
Right.
that didn't screw them over.
Right.
Like how much more word of mouth and reputation and establishment are you building for yourself? And if you only see the $600 dangling, the carrot dangling, go for it. But to me, it's with that accountability and empathy and stuff, like in the book and everything, it's why it's so powerful for business, because it allows us to think about the people behind what we're offering, rather than simply just, "Oh, I need to make X from this. Otherwise it's not worth it."
No, Saturday you're going to see me on Tom's live stream from Twitter getting a catfish tattoo, a V1, because I lost a box break to him. And he was so nice. He said, "Ben, I want to let you out of this." And I said, "Bro, I have Hello Kitty tattooed on me. Like I have NFTs that were like rugged like 2 years ago tattooed. Like I'm okay. I know who I am, right? But also to your point, Brittany, when the banker's son wants a tattoo and he doesn't want his son to get a tattoo, he sends his son to me now. And that's why the heavily tattooed guy can walk past all the line of bankers and go straight to the president's office and say, hey, sir, I've got another business idea. Would you be interested in hearing it? Because he knows he's met me. We built a relationship, to your point. And so I know I love tattoos and I'm going to have bunches of them. But if you or Drew or Damon show up tomorrow, I'm going to be like, hold up. Like, we need to talk. You know what I mean? Like, this is a lifetime commitment we're talking about. And I don't want to hijack this into tattoos, but it's really what Gary is saying in the book. When you you start stacking gratitude on top of accountability, on top of empathy, on top of kindness. And all of a sudden you're going, man, I might end up being a really happy old person. Instead of one of those, we've all met them.
Sure.
Those 70-year-old people that are just like really bitter and angry and hate everything.
Yeah, or the 40. I was about to say 50-year-old, 40-year-old people.
Yeah,
dude, there are 25-year-olds out there right now who hate everything.
Cranky.
True.
Because you know what? By you not doing it, you do it more, not only for them, but for yourself. But they say all money's not good money. Because like with me, me and this podcast guy, I don't feel bad anymore about telling him that boundary, because I put myself out there in the situation. Like, hey, this is what I offer. This is what I think you should do for your social media, blah, 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 for your brand. Here we are. He's not doing them. So I can get through the pearly gates. Like, look at this. I did what I was supposed to, it's like, I did what I was supposed to do. And just like a regular human, it goes in one ear out the other. So I don't feel bad texting him. Even his approach tonight of texting me at 7:36 is wrong. Like, brother, this is a 9 a.m. conversation. This is not a 7:30 conversation.
No.
It just, when you don't have to, the money will come. When I tell you it will come, I've got my best clients. I talked this with Drew. My best clients have never. I walk in and present, and they're like, "What are you doing? You're already hired." Like, when I walk in, they're ready to work. They're like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
I said, "I gotta present." Yeah. They're like, "Present what? We see your work." Mm-hmm. They're like, "We watch your page." It's like, what? So I tell people, you don't have to. The work is going to come. The money is going to come. You don't even. What's Gary saying? I don't have to sell to the unsellable. If you don't want a house, a mortgage, or social media from me, great. Moving on. Because I used to be that guy who would walk in with the laptop and the pop-up and the flash drive with my presentation on it and the PowerPoint. Now I'm like, you listen. Do you want me? Yes or no? I don't do all that anymore. I don't care if it's a company or individual. I'm like, here's my pages. Here's what I do. Mm-hmm. It's a 15-minute meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And going back to what you said earlier, Damon, it's about the money, right? Like the bad money. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys know Ken Honda, right? Talks about the happy money and like it's actually really interesting concept, right? But his whole thing is like money is energy, right? And you can have good energy and you can have bad energy. And when you have bad energy around you, it's gonna affect the way you operate. You're gonna feel not great about it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely. I believe that personally. I think there is bad money, there is bad energy out there, right? If you get money through nefarious or malicious or means where you're basically manipulating people into buying stuff that they don't need, like Wolf of Wall Street money. Yeah, it's a crap ton of money, but I mean, it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass eventually. I really believe in karma, right? I mean, I was raised Hindu. I kept most of those beliefs. There's some
Mhm.
things that I've let go of, which I don't think are actually Hinduism. They're more kind of the performance of stuff. But one of the things I definitely believe in is karma, right? And what you put out in the world, you put out kindness, you try to do the best you can for other people and for yourself, right? It comes back around to you. Maybe not in the timing you think it will come back at you, right? But eventually.
I would say like the for this, I think reminds me like with conviction and that quality, because we have to believe in who we are, what we're doing. I would say that chapter probably hit me the most personally since I have had to figure out my own convictions again. Having one way of life and then shifting to pretty much figuring it all out and everything. That really helped me kind of tighten things up because, yeah, when we know who we are, you get to that point where it's a lot easier to set boundaries. It's a lot easier to be like, no, it's too late in the evening for us to be talking.
Yeah.
You're not my family.
Right.
Like I like you. You're a good contact, and maybe in time there might be more of a relationship or something where it's okay. But to assume that and then to cross those boundaries and stuff, yeah, it gets a lot easier to just be like, this is what I have, this is what I'm offering. I'm not available during this time. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's a lot easier.
The book definitely puts all the things together. It's almost just like an easier pill to swallow, to your point, Brittany. Like when whenever it seems like conviction was something that for me, and you seem to be saying from your past too, conviction was tied to something different in a religious sense, for us in our experiences. But in this case, the decision and sticking with it, it's just like, oh, so that's just a human thing I can work on. That's just I can start building this foundation. And I'm not going to disagree with how Gary, but I do remember reading the 12 and going, man, I would have put kindness ahead of this one, and I would have put conviction ahead of that one, but I do
Why
remember
this?
that. But he had a completely different, experience. I mean, I grew up
Yeah.
raising my own food. We had a 3-acre garden, man. Like that was my life as a child. Like some people didn't have that experience, so it makes them go in a different order.
Yeah,
True.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, Ben, which is that they're all the kind of human elements, right? And it doesn't really. I think whatever order you choose to put them in, this is Gary's order. You have your order. We kind of each have our own order, and whatever experiences we've had in our lives, some people are better at some of these than others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And back to your muscle building point, right? Some people are really good at like 5 of these or even 11 of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's those other people who just need to work on many of these. And and to both of your points, Damon and Ben, about the readiness, right? You got to be ready to kind of make that step and push through. And maybe you do one at a time, right? Really focus on that and add it on as you go. And I think that sounds, at least that's the way I processing things and figure out, like, okay, for me, like listening to it a couple times because I want to really absorb it and understand it, and then jump in and do the exercises. Because I think for me, that's where the rubber meets the road for me, is like kind of getting these things, doing these things, because it's like that's the fear piece of it. Mm-hmm. To your point, where it's like I'm not differently from you. I'm not afraid of not being able to do it. I'm afraid of not doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Of not taking that step. Mm-hmm. And I told Damon this before about my YouTube channel, which was I had recorded a bunch of videos many times before I launched my channel. Mm-hmm. I just never posted them because I'm always I can't post that one. My voice sounds weird. I can't post that one. I just look weird. That background looks weird. I can't do that. Like you make up reasons why it's not going to work.
Get over yourself.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm.
Post it out.
Yeah, just post it, right? And just put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so fascinated, like, that you invited us, and then now we're here having this conversation, because I'm just going like, man, I would really like to have like 5 more of these, because
Yeah.
we could do an hour on Brittany's background. We could do an hour on Damon's switch from school teacher to mortgage. You know, we could do
Oh boy.
we could do an hour with Ben on gardening. You know, so like, you know, it's such a fascinating thing. And then and what's funny that strikes me about sometimes, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like I see the big streamers or the big YouTubers or the people that appear popular in the VeeFriends community.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say that again, appear popular. because guys, everybody has apparently decided I'm a big deal in VeeFriends cards. And Brittany, to your point earlier, I get up in the morning and I look at myself and I go, what? You're just a guy. Like,
Yeah.
you're just a dude. And all of it, and people are like, your card collection is amazing. I started 6 weeks ago. I I'm not even I mean, it's
I'm not,
it's cool,
but you know
I
what's so
guess.
funny? The community has changed. It has. When I say I've been around long enough,
Yeah.
How can I put this in a nice way? When we had nothing to buy, your popularity,
Yeah.
my popularity was based on content.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Content and your character, I should say.
Okay.
Now it's like I bought a shit ton of 12 books to get the V2s.
Yeah.
Now, this is before you couldn't get the boxes, before you could just get the boxes willy-nilly, how you can get them now. If you didn't have the book, you weren't getting the box.
Right.
So now I've kind of not taken a step back, but now I just look sometimes. Now, for me, maybe it's just me. It is so based on, I'll say 60% on who has the most cards, it's weird. And I'm gonna sound like an old fuddy-duddy.
No, go ahead.
The originality of what got me here, I don't see a lot in the VeeFriends community anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like the weirdness of us all, when you see a Damon video, like, oh shit, what is he doing? We were known for that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be a star because you got more cards than everybody.
Right.
What the fuck is that about?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
It's very
Can I let y'all in on a secret?
Sure.
The card community, I know this is public, Drew.
Yeah.
The card community has tiers, and they have like the top 10 characters in tier 1 and the top 10, the next 10 in tier 2, and the next 10 top characters in tier 3. Me and my brother are grading all the cards that aren't in those.
Nice.
We're literally, Damon, to your point, we have like 500 characters graded that nobody cares about.
right. It's so weird.
But like, I mean, like, because we're having fun.
Fun. It's so
But-
weird.
Exactly. That's what that's the purpose of the cards. I mean, the trading and everything. That's all part of it. But it's not a popularity contest.
I was so pissed off that people were selling seats to watch you open a box. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
it's people.
I mean,
I'm
I'll pay to
spoiled
get
less.
some of the
I'm not
cards. I'm not gonna pay to watch.
It's people who haven't eaten tonight.
Right.
And if your first impression of VeeFriends community is I'm paying $1,000 to see Ben open a box, what the fuck? Is this what we're gonna be known for? We used to be known for we've all been around Ben we were known for our differences and our commonality with VeeFriends mantra. This whole popular, like I told you, I got my 10 boxes. I don't even feel like opening them on camera because I'm like, what does this got to do with content and being creative and being innovative and being different with your camera phone? When did this shit turn into a poppy? Because it's a who has the most money contest now.
Right. But that's my point, is that I love what I agree. I'm with you 100%. I'm with all y'all. But I love what Drew's doing. And I'm just curious, Drew, do you have the same sometimes insecurity that I do, where you put a video out and like 2 days later it has 33 views and you're like, dang, nobody likes me?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, much of what you guys talked about tonight, and I have the same insecurities and the same thoughts go through my head. I mean, in terms of like what you said about not being kind to yourself, that's absolutely my mental voice a lot of the time, right? People talk about imposter syndrome and stuff like that. I absolutely have that, right? It never goes away fully. I've worked on it like crazy, but it never fully goes away. But it's always a constant struggle. But absolutely, I mean, I put a video up, and I'll be happy if it gets 33 views in 2 days too. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit, I got 33 views. Oh yeah, that's crazy. You know, but it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, these kind of conversations, I love them because it's like bringing people together, building a community around something that's not just physical, right? It's not some physical thing. And don't get me wrong, the card thing for me, it's fun. It's like I only got the 2 back there, whatever, right? But like, it's fun. But I think this is where the values are at, right? The value is at in these conversations where we can kind of talk through stuff and understand, like, hey, oh shit, Ben has a similar experience to me. Brittany had a similar experience to me, or similar challenges, similar beliefs. So how can we come together and talk about these things and say, hey, you know what? We all got different things out of the book, or got them in different ways. But this book was actually still really impactful for each of us in different ways. And how we digest it is very different because we're different people, but we still enjoyed it in different ways, right?
I'm still digesting it since in First in Line, I help moderate there, and we've been working on developing the content and engaging and working on rebuilding the community on Facebook. And we started doing monthly themes, and I presented, let's use 12.5, because quite frankly, it's not always easy to come up with crazy themes and stuff, and we don't really want to. We want it to be easy and simple, and most of the people in that community are either getting fresh into business, contemplating entrepreneurship, or more experienced, but they're trying to figure out how to expand and how to grow. And so a lot of the content is being developed around business and growth. So now each month, we don't always use a quality from the book, since as time goes on, they want to use other books too, especially since Gary's coming out with, I think, the jab left hook. So, but basically, you know, the community as a whole is working at a main theme each month, and some of the exercises or scenarios I try to kind of work into some of the posts, as well as other people and stuff. And I would say overall, even though it's not like we're getting a gazillion responses to things, we know people are enjoying it and growing from it. And I always remember too, like, Gary talks a lot about how the fact he doesn't care if it's one person that he's talking to, or 1,000 or more. It doesn't, like, to him, he will come on podcasts that have few viewers. I mean, he followed my fucking Twitter account when I had 30 people. Like, I didn't even ask him to follow me. Like, but that's Gary. And so through this project, I've been like leaning into that a little bit and recognizing he doesn't give a shit if nobody comments on a post. So let's just put it out there and try it. And overall, I like it because it's helped me work through the book more.
Well, and that's go ahead.
No, I was saying that's awesome. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you guys, I really appreciate you guys. I haven't told you enough that I appreciate all 3 of you guys coming on and talking about it. And Ben, to your point, I'm happy to do this once, get the 4 of us together and talk. as often as you guys want. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
this is the kind of fun stuff I enjoy doing, like I said. So
Well, and Josh, I know Josh really enjoys these type of conversations. Damon, the only thing I would say remember about the cards is some of us are still the same people we were.
Yes.
Me and my brother are having so much fun making these videos. Like we're just literally learning about how to make videos, and we end up crying. We're laughing so hard, and me and him have never made content together. So it's like this new thing where I'm seeing this new side of my 38-year-old brother, and he's freaking out about this graded card that's backwards in the CGC box. And everybody in the comments is like, send it back, make them give you a refund. And we're like, they graded it backwards. That's awesome. It's going to be on my shelf forever.
Right, forever.
Yeah.
It's like,
And now it's a limited edition.
Right.
Honestly, so like my only cards I have so far, Josh sent me a pack or like some of the cores, and then a teacher gave me some, but he actually he drew on his.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I actually want to get this one at least like covered, and I don't know what to do with it at this point because I'm still learning. Like I'm going to the show this year to learn.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I'm applying what I learned from comics with the cards, because the same idea. CDC does comics too, and I'm a huge nerd with comics. Like I go to Comic-Con in Baltimore every year to sell my book, but like it's always just part. I always love comics and stuff like that. So I definitely know CDC through that. I didn't even know they did cards.
See, I'm a work in progress. I'm channeling my inner. Where were you at when I was at the card conference 3 years ago? It wasn't this buzzer. I was like this.
Hold on. Did you just say you had a book?
Yeah, I wrote a novel a couple years ago. So it's on Amazon. I sell it every year and at Comic-Con in person. I got a table there every year and sell it there.
Nice.
Oh, what are you just going to keep that from us for your private fans, or what?
That's for the next episode.
That's for the next episode. No, that's the next episode. No.
Okay. Look, Damon's
hear more about the book.
Eyes are droopy, okay? Damon's getting tired.
Yeah, he's
getting tired. I'm a grandpa. At 10 o'clock, I'm like this.
And it's 7 o'clock here, so yeah.
Oh wow! See, no wonder you're up and perky.
It's still bright outside. Where Brittany is. I was like, where the hell?
At 10 o'clock, I'm like this. When the news
and I appreciate that you guys did it this late, though.
I know, right? I'm like this. When he said 8:30, I was like, a.m.? I'm the old. You get old. I'm like this. Stay up. Okay. I'm like, stay up.
Okay, well, Drew, I don't know how long you wanted to go, but I'm probably going to have to wrap up soon.
No, I think we hit that spot like a few minutes ago, so I think we're all right. We can like I said, we can do this again another time. But I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. Thanks everybody for watching. I know we have a couple people kind of in and out, on and on, but thank you for whoever turned in. I know Blaze was in for a bit. He commented and said what's up. And I know some other people tuned in as we were going.
I had a friend that asked for the link. They thought it was on Twitter. I'm like, oops. I don't know if they got to it or not, but there you go.
It's all good. I think it's going to be up there anyway, so you can send them afterwards. But thank you guys so much for coming in. Ben, Damon, Brittany, you guys, great conversation. Like I said, happy to do it again whenever time we want to. And we'll keep talking either way on Twitter. But thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed the conversation, guys. Comment below what's your favorite dimension, what's your favorite quality of business owners that Gary mentioned in 12 and a half. If you've not read it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth the read, or multiple reads, as we've talked about already, or half a read. Do as much as you can and get through it. So thanks a lot. Thank you guys all.
Appreciate you, Drew.
That was awesome joining in. Thank you.